Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at a brand new premium Indiana Tier 9 American battleship that is based on Alabama, which is a Tier 8. Interesting. It better have some massive buffs to get it at Tier 9 and be worth playing. And they have changed quite a bit. What they haven't changed, though, is the main guns are still Battleship Dispersion 1.9 Sigma with very, very slow shell velocity. Those shells are on their way. Waiting. There we go. Citadel on incomp. Even at longer ranges, the guns are actually quite good thanks to having the 6th upgrade slot. Even though they haven't changed the guns, their dispersion at all, American 6th upgrade slot on battleships, 11% better dispersion, is just a thing of beauty. You have to take it. If you get Indiana, if you play high tier American battleships, please don't let me catch you not running accuracy mod. It is so good. While the shells are very slow, they do pack a punch. But before we talk more about this ship's performance characteristics, how can you get it? Well, there's a reason I went with Bridgeport first on the NDA lift. This ship is just ridiculously expensive. It's $180 Admiral bundle, or it's in a bunch of Armory bundles totaling up to over 50k doubloons. Am I reading this right, Wargaming? That is ridiculous. Or you can gamble on it in premium containers as well. If you want it, I would recommend you buy it outright. Never going to endorse gambling at all. Just pay for it if you want it. Now, would you want to get an Alabama at Tier 9? I didn't think so going into this. I'll be honest with you, going into this ship, I was going to assume that I wasn't going to like it, all right? I do not like Alabama at Tier 8, so why would I like an Alabama at Tier 9? Typically, NC is just better dispersion if you're going for mid-range build than Alabama, and if you want to brawl, well then there's Massachusetts at Tier 8. I don't really see much point in Alabama, other than that, it was introduced a long time ago in the game before we had the Massachusetts, of course. Bringing it up into Tier 9 poses a massive problem. This ship now has even worse matchmaking to deal with, up into super ships. How can it possibly survive with a base HP of 64,700 HP? That's not a lot when super battleships are over double your HP in some cases. Well, we're living for quite a while here. In fact, this Sherman is missing us quite a lot. And that's because this ship has built-in acceleration buffs, much like the Vermont line has. This is one of the things that made Libertad so unbelievably difficult to kill back when it was released. They fortunately changed the acceleration parameters, but this buffed acceleration on a ship with very, very good turning radius of 710 meters and a 15-second rudder shift means we get to play around with the buggy aim assist in this game. I mentioned that a bit with Laffy, trying to abuse the aiming system in this game. Well, when you have this good acceleration plus amazing turning radius rudder shift, it allows you to speed up, slow down, turn in and out, and this poor Sherman, at even 10 to 11 kilometers, is having a tough time hitting us. No fault of his own, it's just the way the aim assist works. It's pulling his shells away from where my ship is going, because it doesn't take into account my change in speed and my change in direction. That's the key. The aim assist is going to help you when someone's going straight line, not maneuvering. But as soon as you maneuver, the aim assist pulls your shells away from that maneuvering. And when we can speed up and slow down and turn this quickly, you can start to see how we started this clip on like 100, 200,000 potential damage, and now we're nearing 3 million potential damage on an up-tiered Tier 8 hull without any super healing. Purely off of dodging incoming fire. That is the tankiness of Indiana. It is not a squishy battleship if you know how to maneuver. If you sit on an island, bow in, and you stay stationary, it's going to die quickly. But if you're good at getting into positions where you can maneuver, and you're able to use this speed juking, this acceleration, you can survive for an incredibly long time. And in fact, this build is not even a good build for it, because I was missing the 3rd upgrade, or the 3-pointer upgrade on my HP, getting me my heal back even quicker. I will change my build, don't you worry, we'll see an even better example in a little bit. But back to these guns, they are very slow. 406s, Battleship Dispersion, 1.9 Sigma, it's fine. The American upgrade 6 slot for 11% dispersion helps us out a lot, but even there, way under lead. I got so lucky to even get a Citadel on that Seattle. At closer range, it's a lot easier to land these shells. Dispersion is quite good. In fact, I would say this is maybe a little better dispersion than Iowa, even though on paper it shouldn't be. I find these guns a little more consistent when I lead properly, okay? That's what it comes down to. This aiming system actually has another quirk to it. Many bugs, quirks, features, whatever you want to call it. Slower shells tend to have better vertical dispersion. I don't know what it is, how the math works out, but that is just the feeling I get. The ships with similar dispersion tables, similar sigma, if one of them has slower shells, I find them to be more consistent. Harder to lead, but more consistent. So I actually had a pretty good time overall with these guns. It's not a Wisconsin, it's not battle cruiser dispersion alongside the American 6 upgrade slot, okay? But for the most part, they did perform above average. Better than Iowa, I would say. Here we're gonna see great dispersion result in very little damage. What is that about? I think it's down to these shells having less pen. Sure, they're 406s, but these are meant to be around tier 8, not tier 9 up to tier 10, even super ships tier. I find that maybe they don't perform quite as good as a normal 406 might as far as their pen and damage at these longer ranges. Still getting some interesting citadels. Maybe that's down to plunging fire in that Monty earlier, but I noticed a little bit more at range. I resulted in a lot more shatters. Closer ranges, though, it's going to do very, very good. Into a brawl here with this Iowa, our improved maneuverability, helping us to outmaneuver and find those citadels. You love to see it. Brawling. No secondaries, though. No, definitely not going secondaries. These are standard secondary accuracy. There is no buffs about them here, so do not run a secondary build on a ship like this one. As for the HE shells, they are the same, so you can use them. I don't like using HE though, so I didn't use them much, but 68 mil pen, 36% fire chance, 5700 alpha. They're not bad, especially into up tiers when people are angling to you. Might be worth considering. And again, very slow shells, a bit of an example of skill issue. Not leading that edit enough, and we just purely miss him, even though he's flat broadside at close range. We do get the Minnesota, though, and that's our Halsey Confederate. Yes, got the opportunity to run Halsey on this ship, and that is very, very comfortable, allowing us to get close to a 20-second reload already. Bit of AR as well in that. You may be looking down at the consumables and realizing there's some other changes. It's not just maneuverability buffs to the ship. It's that we get a hydro and a defensive fire on a battleship at the same time. That is pretty cool. Also notice that damage control immunity time. That is buffed up with the damage control mod in slot 1 for Cole, but a 25-second base damage control immunity time is pretty cool to have. That's the highest out of any surface ship, not counting carriers. So you can get ridiculous immunity time. This heal is actually the better heal we find on the American tech tree. So like Iowa heals back 18.5%, unlike the Minnesota or the Alabama or the Kearsarge, which only get 14% standard heals. Now, Minnesota gets the 40-second cooldown. I would rather have that, to be honest with you. In situations like this, getting back to that heal would be very, very nice. So having an 80-second cooldown hurts quite a lot. Again, trying to use my maneuverability, my rudder shift, my propulsion to stay alive in this situation. Climbing well over 2 million potential damage at this point, and my heal is actually coming back pretty quickly. Maybe enough for me to stay alive here. And that's thanks to the 3-pointer commander skill that is massively beneficial on a ship like this one that can get a lot of potential damage because people are typically going to be missing you. And also a ship with such low base HP. The amount of cooldown time it gives back to my heal is based on my potential damage related to my ship's base HP. So that's why it is so good here. And I actually get it down to, I think it's 46 seconds is what I end up with at the end of this clip as far as a heal cooldown. And that's a standard 80-second cooldown. I nearly took out half the cooldown. 3.5 million potential damage at this point. Pretty crazy tankiness here, okay? Assuming you're getting, fortunate that people aren't hitting you in this maneuvering. But I think there's some skill in it, in abusing the aim assist, okay? It's very hard to actually land shells on a ship like this one that is maneuvering. It's I don't think it's paid actor moments, guys. It's very hard to deal with this aim assist when ships are this maneuverable. I also really should talk about AA. I don't want to. Okay, I did my best. Are we 10 minutes into the video? Okay, good. I did my best to not just complain, all right? But I didn't know what I was going to say this video. Just to be perfectly honest with you guys, like I said, I went into this video thinking I was not going to like it. I had some great games. I managed to tank over 4 million around 4 million potential damage in this one. Very, very surprising. There's that 46-second cooldown time. A base of 73, I guess, is what I had with the flags and upgrades in this one. But crazy cooldown, very, very strong in this situation. But what I ran into while playing this ship, started off thinking I wouldn't like it, decided suddenly that it's performing really well. I'm enjoying myself. And then I ran into carrier after carrier after carrier after carrier. And you would think a ship like this one that has a defensive fire and a hydro, we should be feeling all right. But that is a tier 8 carrier through our full defensive fire and a V-spot and helping us out, still getting a strike through. That's a tier 8. What happens when it's a tier 10? What happens when it's a super carrier? This is the problem that I had. I don't think it's necessarily Indiana's fault, but tier 9 is very hard to play. You're up tiered into super ships quite a lot. It's difficult to find games against your own tier. This ship does very good against its own tier. It's very, very fun. It's very good against tier 9 and below. Even the odd tier 10 it faces, it's not too bad. But as soon as you're facing those up tiers with a lot of carriers, it is very, very hard to have a ship like this one perform. Because I haven't mentioned it yet, but your concealment's very, very good. 12.4 kilometer detect allows you to sneak up on people, surprise broadside cruisers, that kind of thing. But if the carrier's on you all the time, it's very, very tricky to get full advantage of this ship. Pushing in is very difficult in those situations. It's not a ship that wants to brawl like this all the time. You want to find the right opportunity to brawl. But it's a mid-range ship with a hydro, so you shouldn't be taking too many torps. Although here, unfortunately, hydro goes down, and I try to maneuver in a weird way, but they managed to predict me. So I'm going to actually eat a torp or 2. It looked like that one got past my bow, but it actually did not, unfortunately. Torp protection here is very, very, very good at 49%, so not taking too much damage from those torpedoes. But I ran into a lot of carriers, so I didn't have a very fun experience, all right? Overall, I just did not enjoy my playtime with Indiana. And is that the ship's fault? Not really. I mean, it's just the way the game is when you're fighting a lot of carriers, especially when it's a test ship, all right? If you guys are wondering why I'm renamed user and I'm blurring that number in every video I can, if you're wondering why my stats are hidden, if you're wondering why I'm not in a clan, it's because I don't want to be constantly singled out for focus, okay? It happens a lot. It happened a lot when I was on just not PQ, in a clan, no hidden stats. It happens so much. It's so much easier to play the game when not everyone on the enemy team is out to get you, okay? It's not as fun. But when I'm in a test ship like this one, and there's carriers, it's really, really difficult for those carrier players to not just single you out. I don't know what it is about carriers in the class, but it seems to attract people that want to go after one player and make their game as miserable as possible. I don't know. Maybe that's reading into it too much. But the way carrier players focused this ship, it was kind of disgusting. I'm not going to lie. I was really disappointed in the AA, to be honest with you. I was hoping at least if they gave it a defensive AA, up tiering a tier 8 hull, they're going to make it an AA monster. Actually allow it to play its role as a mid-range flanker battleship. The range looks okay, right? 21.8, but guess what? The actual base range of this ship is 18.8 kilometers. You're pretty much forced to use range mod. And if you don't run range mod, how are you going to play the game when the carrier is constantly after you like this? Now, I really hope your experience is different than this, okay? It being a test ship or whatever, maybe that changes things. But I was really, really surprised at how little this ship could do against carrier focus. Not because I expected a surface ship to be able to do that, but I was hoping that up-tiering a lower tier hull with very little HP, with not really buffing the guns at all, and giving it a hydro and a defensive fire, leading it to want to play flanks, want to play mid-range, they didn't actually buff the AA up at all to make it actually viable, which was really disappointing. Also, massive bug there, I guess, for that new test Yamato hybrid version. It's just a box. I don't know what that was about, but Wargaming, you might want to check into that. The guns still perform pretty well, honestly. That American 6 upgrade slot is very, very good. Very good, and allows this ship to feel quite consistent. But these are my games, man. I tried to get up and play the battle. I tried to play more passive. It didn't really matter what I did. I just resulted in a carrier constantly after me. And that's not very much fun. And is that Indiana's fault? Probably not. So it's probably not fair for me to criticize this ship for that experience. But that's the experience at tier 9. That's the experience of playing a battleship. That's the experience of playing any surface ship, let's be honest. It's not just battleships, but any surface ship. You just lose to carriers. And are you really gonna spend $180 for the privilege to go against all these ridiculously powerful carriers, hybrids? They're just gonna focus you out, and there's nothing you can do, even with D-Fire up, and you're running AA flag, you're running the 2-pointer AA skill. I mean, he's back so quickly, my defensive fire wasn't even able to run out. Okay, enough. I was unsure of what I wanted to say. I really didn't want to make this entire video one massive rant about carriers, and I don't know if I succeeded in that. I certainly made it 10 minutes without mentioning it in this video, so I apologize for the last 5 minutes of me ranting about that. Let's get back to the ship. Surprisingly consistent, okay? Look at these guns. I mean, I don't know why this Aki is exposing his cheek, because he only has front guns on that ship, so you should just be able to perfectly angle it, but I will take it. I will take the cheek citadels here. We're going to go for another one with our rear turret, and that is going to be 3 for 3 on getting citadels there. It's very, very consistent with these main guns. We accelerate too quickly, actually, for my front guns to get around. The turrets actually turn a little bit slowly, I noticed as well. It's normal, it's like 40 seconds, that's the same as Alabama. But with its acceleration and turning radius and rudder shift, you actually outturn your turrets quite often. And thanks to the very poor base range on this ship, almost requiring that you run range mod. And then commander skills, I really wanted the AA upgrade, as you can imagine why, seeing this video. I hope you don't, you'll have to forgive me for choosing AA mod over, over turret traverse, but it did mean that the turrets turned just a little bit slowly. The armor is a little bit better, actually. I'll show you that in a few seconds here in port. But the armor is a little bit better. We get 38 millimeters upper belt armor, where Alabama, all the tier 8 American battleships like this one, NC, Massachusetts, they all have 32 millimeters of upper belt. So they would get penned by more HE, and they would get overmatched by Yamatos, that kind of thing. Where this one has the 38 that we see on Iowa, which is really nice to see. Pushing in with this hydro, I guess I didn't mention, I hope I mentioned, maybe I didn't mention the hydro range. It is a 5-kilometer hydro, which is very good on a battleship. So pushing up into caps like this, aggressive island position, is really, really useful. And then we lose 10k to a carrier. Okay, I'm trying to be done with it. I'm trying to ignore it. Kiting Colombo as well, very fun experience. I don't know, guys. It's tough, man. It's tough for me to say if this ship is worth getting. I don't think it is, just on my experience with it. Personally, I also think that $180 is kind of ridiculous money to spend on a video game. Okay, no shame if you do it. Okay, it's your money, but that's kind of insane. This is why I wanted to take a look at Bridgeport. This is why I was so excited about Bridgeport. Indiana is the whale ship for this update. If you're looking for free to play, free to earn, Bridgeport's the one to go with. If you're looking for reasonable money, I think it's reasonable at least, get the Aleutian B in the dockyard. Those are the things to get excited about. Indiana to me is interesting from a gameplay perspective, seeing what they do to up tier a tier 8 into tier 9 matchmaker and seeing if it's viable, seeing how much stronger a ship gets just purely off of a 6th upgrade slot addition. That's pretty interesting to me too, and it does massively improve the main guns. But that doesn't make this ship worth getting, I don't think. Certainly my experience with it was miserable with all these carriers. That's not the ship's fault, that's more the game's fault these days and how Wargaming has handled balance, or the lack of balance with that class. Who knows if we'll ever get a fix for that, but really the big issue here is the amount of focus, right? Like, they're almost incentivized to focus one target out, you know what I'm saying? Which is such awful game design. It makes sure someone is having a bad time when playing their game. Again, I'm sorry. I don't mean to complain the entire video. My apologies. This is not the content I want to make, but it is the experience I had, and I do need to be honest with you guys about that. And I guess we did manage to shoot down a full squad of those Kaga bombers before the strike came off, so that is a good thing, but they went in a straight line, you know, the worst possible thing. A little bit of wiggle back and forth around the flak buffs, and he doesn't take any of that damage, right? The flak bursts are the only thing that actually shoots down planes consistently, and they're RNG based, which is quite unfortunate. And then they came in a little while after with the Tor bombers, did the same straight line thing again, and then the drop still made it through. Ah, it's so difficult, man. It is so difficult when this is my experience. It's really hard for me, man. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Here is the build that I was running throughout the video. Not the entire time. I actually did not have improved repair party readiness the whole time. Believe it or not, I went with focus fire training. I wonder why. But I had to see for myself what the heal cooldown could get to, considering this is purely based off of your ship's base HP and potential damage relating to that. Pretty cool to get a 80-second heal consumable down to 46 seconds. I thought that was really interesting. Great detection, poor HP, but great survivability through its maneuverability. The AA was disappointing, as mentioned already. The range is shockingly short for a tier 9 battleship. I have no idea what they're thinking, especially with the I didn't even realize this. Recommending? Oh my, do they play the game? Are we serious? Are you recommending a battleship at tier 9 have 18.8 kilometers of range? Don't. Make sure you're running range mod, guys. I suppose you could be running spotter plane here, but you probably realize why I took defensive AA. I hope I don't have to explain myself on that one. Damage control system mod 2 could be worth looking at, but combining steering gears with the improved acceleration was just really fun and quite effective, I think, as well. Concealment, obviously, really wanting extra hydro duration since Superintendent no longer exists for Battleship Commanders, so we actually can't get ourselves more extra consumables of hydros, defires, that kind of thing. This only applies to our heal and our damage control. So unlike cruisers, we actually can't get a 4th hydro here or a 5th defensive AA. So wanting the extra duration on that hydro, very, very useful. It's very nice to have a hydro. It's really, really good. Damage control party mod 1 here, allowing me nearly a 40-second action time of this damage control, which is hilarious. You can bait so many HE farmers into continuing to fire at you when they're on low HP, and they probably should just go dark and get away, but they're greedy for that insta-relight permanent fire, not realizing that you have like a 40-second immunity period. That's pretty funny. Whether it's useful or not is questionable, to be honest with you. A lot of time, damage control, you're wanting to use it for that instant activation effect of removing all the fires from your ship or floods, whatever. And then you want that cooldown to come up quickly again so that you can use it again for that effect, not necessarily for that immunity period. So good or bad, not necessarily sure, but it is interesting. And I did have to try it with that full build. Here is that extra armor, as we can see. That Musashi got a very good hit into me. I was going broadside foolishly. I didn't mention it, I think, at the time, but you do have a slightly vulnerable broadside. Is this below water? Is this above water? I mean, it looks... No, it's got to be waterline, right? Is it below water? Did he smash me that hard with the Citadel being... Wow, okay. Musashi, not known for good accuracy, but in that instance, apparently it did. But also overmatchable Citadel deck armor, so it could have been some plunging fire too, right? Like get through this, and then you can overmatch through that. Typically, you're not going to eat too much damage, I think, to broadsides, which, you know, I'm not a huge fan of that design overall. I much prefer when Citadels are very vulnerable broadside. Less overmatch damage, less and more broadside damage is what I like. So, you know, that's a little bit less interesting to me. Here's the other camo. I'd probably run this personally, but I did want to show you that special camo or whatever, which will be in the bundles for you if you spend the crazy amount of money on this ship. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Apologies again for complaining about carriers. I'm sorry. But I have to talk about my experience with the ship, and that is the time that I had, unfortunately. I do not wish it on anyone. I wish that was not my experience. I wish it was different. But that's the game these days, unfortunately. Let me know what you think about Indiana in the comments down below. More importantly, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.